so when were you born?
Well, we were both born in 1928.
1928.
Jan in January and I was in December.
Okay, so when were you at Bowling Green?
We were at Bowling Green from 1946 and we graduated in 1950.
50.
So how did you two meet?
Well, years ago when we were in high school, of course it was during World War II, and we had paper drives. And I lived in Port Clinton and Jan lived in Fremont. And she was visiting a friend in Fremont while we were doing a paper drive, and I happened to be driving the pickup truck where we were picking up paper in the city. And she kept looking in my window, and I kept putting brakes on and stopping her, and that's how we first met.
And he would put brakes on and it would throw my head and face
To the window.
To the window. And I didn't get mad at him, but I just looked very cross at him because he was hurting me when he would throw me against the window. But that was his way of getting my attention.
Okay, so how was your college experience at Bowling Green?
Mine was great. I met new friends. I become an adult and did things for myself. And the studies were interesting, and I loved all the activities that went along with it.
And Jim?
Well, I have to ditto a lot of the things that Jan said, but I still, it was a new experience. Of course, it was right after World War II, and a lot of the GIs were there, so we were sort of mixed in with older fellows, and I lived in a Quonset hut when I first came to Bowling Green. But it was, we built our relationship while we were at Bowling Green.
Okay, so tell me about the bushes.
About what?
The bushes, you know, at the dorm, how the RAs would shake the bushes, you know, because couples were kissing. Tell me about that.
Well, Jan lived in Cole Hall at the time, and of course after any of the college events or evening events, we would all get back to around Cole Hall. We would never go inside. We started around the outside of the building, and the house mother at that time, I remember, she'd come out just about 5 minutes before the doors were locked, and she'd shake her keys and shake the bushes, so to speak.
And then all the girls or the fellows that were dating each other would try to hide or come out of the corner, and it was a fun relaxation for us to do this together and try to put on a big act for them.
What are some things that have changed over the years?
Well, we had to have permission to get off the campus, and we had to have a note from our mothers that it was all right that we could get off of campus and maybe have a date or with the fellas. So it was much different when we went to school. We had to have permission to do all this, and notes from home.
Probably the biggest change was that we had car regulations, and girls were not allowed in cars.
No, so if I wanted, once in a while, if I wanted to get in a car, I had to hide on the floor of the car so no one would see me, because we weren't allowed into cars at all. That's something that has really changed at Bowling Green.
Well, of course, the university has changed quite a bit. We had an overflow of students at that time. I think attendance or the enrollment in 1946 was 2,200. And that was quite a few, and there weren't facilities at the time. There was a lot of the guys that registered late were living in a gymnasium. There was 400 or 500 guys that this was their sleeping quarters until they were able to build. And of course, at that time, we had a lot of trailer camps where some of the married veterans were staying and going to school. So that's changed considerably today.
Okay, so what is a thing that you liked that is no longer around or a thing anymore?
Something that we liked and is no longer there. Well, one of the things that I can say right now is that is the elimination of fraternity houses. I was in Delta, and we had our own house, whereas now all the fraternities and sororities are sort of in one particular area in a certain number of buildings. So we had our individual houses, and as I look back at that had to be important because on homecoming, decorating houses was a big thing, and of course during the holidays, and especially at Christmas time, each house had decoration, and I don't know if they do that still at Bowling Green, but it wouldn't be as individual as it was then.
And Jen, can you think of anything?
Anything that happened or was different, you mean?
Yeah, something
Well,
that has
Uh,
changed for the worse
well,
or something like that.
What has changed is what he said, that we had to have permission to go off campus on a date or whatever. We had to have permission from home that it was okay. So it was a little different at that time. We had to carry around our okay from our parents at home that we would be okay to be out with that boy. So it was very strict like that. And plus we had curfew, and we had to be in at a certain time. And everyone would be with their boyfriends, and we were all around the side and the backs of the camp. And as time got closer, then we had all band, and we all came out, and had a lady that was in charge of everything, and she would clap her hands or ring a bell and say it was time to come in and say goodnight to the boys. So it was very different because we had curfew and rules that we had to follow, and it was just a great experience all along. But it's all changed now, and is more free.
Okay, and what is something that was good before, but I think you already answered that question, really, honestly. So to kind of change the pace of this interview and the topic, I wanted to talk about Norm's Camp because, I mean, you've gone up for many years, and I've come up with you for many years.
Mhm.
So, can you tell us a story about how you discovered the camp?
Out of the summer camp. It seems to me that a friend asked us to come up, didn't they? To
Your sister.
my sister.
Well, your sister babysitted for a couple in Kagawan,
In Kagawan up north.
and it was through her first visit there and seeing the island and the area that she told her mom and dad that they had to go up there and see Kagawan. Of course, that was for Jan would be some 50-some years ago.
That's a long
this
time.
all started.
It's a lot. But we had to have permission and everything, so it was a great experience, and it's all changed now, and all the freedom that the girls and the fellows have
We're talking about camp now, Jan.
at camp.
And how has camp and Manitoulin Island itself changed?
Well, there's been dramatic changes because we lived in a cabin when we first went up there, and boating has changed. I mean, we had wood boats, and we'd take our family out on a boat, and maybe with a little 3 or 3.5 horsepower motor, and it'd probably take all day to go on a fishing trip. Whereas now, of course, the boats, as you know, your dad and his boat, and the pontoon boats now, and it's just an entirely different environment. But
Do you mind repeating the first part because the clock went off?
yeah,
So, what about Canada, or Manitoulin Island and Norm's camp changed? So,
how it's changed?
How it's
how
changed?
has it changed? Can you repeat your answer because the clock made noise while you were answering?
I'm not sure I'm with you on it.
So you just answered a question.
Yeah.
Do you mind repeating that? Do you mind repeating that answer because the clock made
Oh,
noise?
I see. Okay. Well, conditions have changed. Boating has changed. The amount of time that we fished and the type of fishing we had. We've stayed in when Jan first went up to Canada, she stayed in a what they called a wee house, which was a room off the garage of these people's homes that they could stay there in the summertime when friends like us coming up, just to be by the lake. But the lake is considerably different. There are more boats, different kind of boats,
Yes.
Whereas before there were just minimal number of boating and fishing on the island. And of course, when we first started going into the campground, I think there was probably maybe 2 or 3 trailers, and we were in a cabin at that time. We rented a cabin, and whereas today it's almost a community now, as you know, with all the trailers and that your grandma and grandpa have had a trailer, and but it's the thing that hasn't changed is that over the years, as our family came and grown, we all now are coming up. In fact, this last summer there was 15 of our immediate family with our kids and our grandkids, and now we're having great grandkids come up here. So that's been the biggest change.
Yeah. And at that time, we had the freedom to go to the store and buy candies and things like that without our parents coming along. So it was we kind of grew up. And our parents trust us because it was a safe place that we could go and play or take walks by ourselves. And we thought we were pretty grown up at that time. And then we had campfires that brought us all together. And the campfires were fun because we always had things to eat and marshmallows to toast. And it was families doing things together and having fun together that brought us together, and why we want to come back so many years because it's something that we can all do together, and I think that is important that families do things like that, and this was one place that we could.
So it's a huge family tradition with multiple families.
Right.
Yes, yes, and we got to know a lot of families that had their children there too. So it was, it was just a friendship place that we could go and have fun, and still we didn't have to report every minute that we were gone and where we were going because it was a safe place.
Yeah.
And it's been an international family because a lot of our friends are Canadians and even friends from Ohio and Indiana and Illinois and
Yeah.
Wisconsin, and it seems so much of our friendship has developed and grown over the years that we've maintained them for a number of years. So it's the type of camping experience that I think really, as you look back, it has real value, real family value.
And are there any similarities between how Bowling Green and this general area has changed and how Norm's Camp has changed?
Well, one of the things, there weren't many paths up there. We had to walk through the dirt and the muck and everything when we went camping. There weren't paths. So now it's all changed, and they have paths that we can walk in, and paths that we can picnic at. Before there was nothing. We just had to walk on the side of the water edge or behave and watch and take care of ourselves because everything was more wild.
In other words, it's become more organized and a little more commercial, but it's still a great place to visit the camp and to renew friendships and find new friendships.
And do you feel like there is a similar community at college and camp? So is there a similar feeling, friendship? What?
I think so, because we housed together, and then we did things together, and I think families stuck together more this way. And in the evenings we would have campfires that would call parents and children together, and it was doing things together that kept us excited about that. We were with mom and dad, and yet we were with our special friends.
Okay. Do you
Well,
have?
we've maintained that similar arrangement with a lot of our college friends. I've had strong relationships over the year with a lot of my fraternity brothers, and fortunately there's not too many of us left, but there's always been a bond, and we had our family lived here in Perrysburg that I maintained. Well, we were each other's best men in our weddings.
It's friendships that last. Friendships that last, and they grow stronger as each year we would go back and meet the same people and the same friendships, and we would share life together, and that's so important.
Do you have any last words, few last ideas that you want to put out there?
Well, the only thing I would say, and as we're growing older and all, is the fact that we've had a faith that has grown stronger, and because of our faith, we have a love experience. Love not only experienced in our own immediate family, but with our neighbors and all.
Do you mind going on from, I think it's around family and neighbors being friends and together? Do you mind going on from there?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've known
Yes.
your grandparents and we've lived right close to them for 40 plus years. And with that, we've developed a real strong relationship. And I mean, with your mom and your dad and and now with you two girls and your family, and this is something that we cherish, and it's part of God's love and His faith.
And it was exciting because our parents did things with us as we camped, and we grew stronger in family ties that way. And it wasn't just young people staying together, it was with each other, but it was with families that we worked. And I used to like to have Mom and Dad take the time when we camped to sit down and talk to us around the fire, campfires, and spend time with us doing things, fishing and hunting and just making life together.
Okay, so I wanted to thank you for letting me interview you. And do you mind if I let Buffy out so you get a few shots with Buffy, because
Sure.
Go right ahead.
dogs are amazing.
Come here, Bubby. Come up and sit with your mama. Come on. Come here, Bub.
Bubby, come on.
Come here and sit with your mama. Come here.
Come on, Buffy.
Get up with your papa. There, you can hold. There you go. That's our baby. Look up here, look up here.
Buffy.
Buffy. Oh, she's young. Done.
How long have you had Buffy?
We've had Buffy about 6 years.
Come on, little girl. Come on. Be a good girl. You're all right. You're just nervous. Come on, Buffy. There you go. Up on your bed. Sit down. Sit down. There you go. That's a pretty one. That's a good girl.
You a good girl.
Look at, there you go. Now, come on.
Do you want to be interviewed too? Sammy, what do you want to say?
Puppy, be good girl. Be good. Come here. Come here. You can call her now. See if she'll come over to you.
Do you mind if I give her a treat?
No.
Yeah, it's right there in the basket.
Buffy, do you want a treat? Come here, Buffy girl. Alright, just get on up there. Come on, Buffy girl. Come on, Buffy. You're so good girl. You're a good girl. Yeah, you're a good girl, Buffy. Do you like treats? Do you like treats? You like to have treats more
That's
more
cute.
than barking. Good girl. You're a good girl. Making sure everybody's okay. There you go. Good girl, Buffy. You're a good girl.
She likes that.
Yeah. You're a good girl. Buffy. Oh, good. You're a good girl, though. And right back to barking. Okay.
Hold it, honey. Hold it.
Buffy, come here, Buff.
There you go.
Go get Jim.
She wants one.
She wants a treat.
You want another treat?
Where's Mike? Where's Mike?
Come on, Buffy. Let's go get Jim. Go get your dad. Come on. Over here. Up, up, up.
There you
There you go. Oh, you are aggressive. You
I
really
know.
want that.
She
I have
just,
another treat if you want to give it.
yeah, she just. Oh, well, she's like she's frustrated.
I probably blocked the shot, but this will make some
There you go.
good footage.
Oh, she's so nervous now. She's
I know. Come on, look up. Look up. Look up. Look up again. Here, Buck. Come on. Come on. There you go.
You're a good girl.
That's a good job.
Are you a good girl? You're a good girl. Yeah, you're a good girl.
That was, oh, that's a good picture.
You're a good girl.
Nope.
You're a good girl. I don't have any treats, but
That's
you're
all
a
right.
little sweetheart.
That's all right. You're a good girl.
You're a good girl.
Yep. Come on. No, you can go. Maybe you got some good ones, maybe you didn't, huh?
Yeah,